بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صاحب المعالي أستاذ محمد البواردي، أصحاب المعالي والسعادة السيدات والسادة. في البداية أتقدم بالشكر الجزيل لحكومة دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة الشقيقة للدعوة الكريمة للمشاركة بهذا التجمع المميز والذي فعلا يأتي مثل ما ذكرت معاليكم في وقت نحن بحاجة للعمل سويا لمواجهة التحديات الكبيرة التي تواجهنا في المنطقة وحول العالم. اسمحوا لي أن أبدأ في العرض وسيكون باللغة الإنجليزية حسب ما طلب مني. لكن let me switch to English so that we can, before I indulge into my presentation, a very good morning, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and very proud to accept the kind invitation to participate as a keynote speaker at this distinguished gathering. And before I indulge into the issue of technology and as it relates to the defense industry, let me share with you just some personal notes of my journey that really touches on some of the issues that I have noticed regarding the technology aspect of the defense industry. So in 1995, I left the university where I was a professor of electrical engineering, so working in academia, to join a startup company that was venturing into the manufacturing of defense electronics. Again, that was mid-90s, exactly 1995, September 1995, I recall it distinctly. So joining the company, and for almost 10 years, I was interacting with the defense industry across different areas, different technological areas, from tactical communications to radar systems to different things. 2003, 2004, the company decided actually to diversify its business and venture into the telecom side. And I happened to lead that effort, and I started actually migrating from the defense industry into the telecom industry, where started witnessing the revolution that took place in that industry. From the introduction of 2G to 3G to 4G to 5G technologies, the pace of change was incredible compared to what I saw in the defense industry. 2013, actually, I moved into Saudi Telecom, and I got into the heart of the telecom industry, and when becoming the CEO of the company. So for 5 years, I witnessed how that industry actually was impacted to an incredible fashion by the advent of the internet, the mobile phone and the iPhones and the Android phones, and how the basic telecom services were offered in a free fashion, disrupting the whole ecosystem. 2018, I came back to the defense side in my current position, and what I saw actually was technologies we were talking about in the 90s and early 2000s were actually still prevailing. Not much of a change. But what I think is happening now will be a rerun of what I saw in the telecom industry. So new technologies, new disruptive technologies, gonna change the landscape. So let me indulge into what I wanted to say. I will focus on two parts. One has to do with what kind of initiatives that we need to have to prepare ourselves to cater for our national security. Then I will focus on what's happening in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as it relates to the ecosystem that is being transformed to cater for achieving the vision of the country. Now, what I'm listing here are 6 technologies. Now, this is not an inclusive list, but specific technologies that, in my view, will have a great impact on the defense industry. His Excellency mentioned artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence has been with us for decades. I remember in the 90s, it was being taught in universities. But only now, with the computing power available that would make it actually useful in so many applications, we foresee, and I think many of you would agree, that AI will reshape lots of things we do in the military side. One aspect, AI will impact definitely how intelligence services operate. I think AI algorithms now can be used in a very interesting approaches to comb through footages from unmanned UAVs and identify potential enemy targets. AI can provide significant disruptive approaches for surveillance systems where multi-language speech recognition algorithms would change the way surveillance systems operate. On the logistical side, again, we foresee that AI will change how our supply chain systems operate and how basically preventive maintenance can be actually performed and repair can be done before any break in the system. So comprehensive impact, I think, on how our military systems would be designed if we are to take advantages of artificial intelligence. Second, the emergence of hypersonic weapons, again, will definitely have a big impact. Both hypersonic cruise missiles and hypersonic glide vehicles and their ability to move on undetected would definitely put our defense systems to the test. And therefore, again, the industry, the defense industry needs to look into the aspects of defending against such emerging weaponaries. The third, which is a very, again, disrupting move, is the availability of lethal autonomous weapons. And I think that brings about lots of ethical questions, and therefore the regulatory framework needs to be put to cater for such introduction. Directed energy weapons are a fact now and are being used as anti-UAVs, anti-drones, air defense systems, in addition to I think, near future availability of directed pods that can be put on aircraft or aircrafts to defend against air-to-air or ground-to-air missiles. Again, a very disruptive technology that will reshape the way we run our defense scenarios. Quantum technology, again, not a new technology. It's, as a concept, was available or was theoretically was there in the 90s. I recall that distinctly. However, only now, with the availability of computing power, that we see a major impact of quantum technology and quantum computing on lots of aspects of so many industries, and defense is not an exception. Encryption in particular, security of communication in particular, will be impacted and is being impacted in a big way by quantum computing, where there are now definitely encryption methodologies that are based on quantum encryption that will make it extremely, if not impossible, to break, and that will definitely pose a major challenge to the intelligence community. Biotechnology, again, genetic engineering, the impact of such a technology on enhancing the performance of soldiers, maybe, or the unfortunate use of such technology with the chemical and biochemical approaches of attacks. So again, a disruptive technology that will reshape lots of things we do. This is, as I said, it's not an exhaustive list. It's just shows how disruptive such technologies will be to our defense industry. Now, just as I said, what happened in the telecom side, what happened there is a major technology change that impacted the whole business model. We need to be ready in the defense industry to cater for such technological advances. From a policy and regulation point of view, we need to have increased coordination between trusted allies. What we see here in this region may spread around the world, where weapons, low-cost drones, for example, can be used by non-state actors and militias to threaten the security of nations. And therefore, there needs to be a coordinated international effort to ensure the security of technology and make sure that it's only channeled through the proper channels to states and assure that what's happening here, where such weaponries are being used to target civilian infrastructure, is prevented. That only can be done through as I said, the collaboration and coordination of nations who are responsible of the security of such technology. Second, there needs to be a relook into defense strategies and defense industry strategies to ensure that we capitalize in a positive manner on such disruptive technologies to ensure that we have a better usage of that technology and ensure that we create efficiency in the system. I think ministers of defense, through their planning organizations, needs to start relooking at their plans, acquisition plans, and ensure that such disruption is being taken advantage of, and driving actually the requirements from the industry towards more efficiency and more effectiveness in terms of the systems that we procure. Research and development, and I think people who follow what's happening in the defense industry clearly see the drive now towards more funding of such disruptive technologies. France, a few months ago, announced significant investment in quantum computing and quantum technologies. The US, similarly, I think, as they are reviewing their defense strategy, are putting more emphasis on R&D spending and actually easing the procurement process just to make sure that things are captured at the right time. So again, significant efforts need to be put from one side to take advantage of the disruption, on the other side to prevent any negativity and any catastrophic results that may actually happen if we don't have the right controls and the security of such technologies. In the kingdom, recently, in the Ministry of Defense, actually, we signed a cooperative technology security program, terms of reference, with a strategic partner, and that's in line with what I said of the need to promote the common goal of enhancing the security of technology worldwide, and ensure that the transfer of defense technology is done in a very regulated fashion. Let me switch on and focus on what's happening in the kingdom. You may have heard the term Vision 2030, which is actually reshaping all aspects of life in the kingdom: social, economical, you name it. Very specific targets have been put. Very specific programs have been put in place to achieve those targets, and the defense industry is no exception. So a major transformation is being done to the ecosystem to achieve those targets. A stated objective now of localization of more than 50% of our defense spending has been announced. And when I say 50% of KSA's defense spending, we're talking big money. The kingdom, as you know, is one of the largest importer of defense systems in the world. So we have recrafted the ecosystem in a way that hopefully will allow us to achieve such a target in a collaborative manner with our partner nations and partner industry players, global players. And we want to go through the ladder and ensuring that by 2030 that objective is met, and that the kingdom, as I said, in a collaborative manner would achieve its objective of having to rely on local industry. Now, Definitely that has a security impact, because we want to ensure that at time of needs we have local players that can support us, but also it has a very important economical impact because of the need of creating jobs within the kingdom. We have a very young population, and we need to ensure that our spending would help create enough jobs for those youngsters. So the kingdom has restructured its defense industry ecosystem as it relates to the user side. Minister of Defense has been going through a major transformation over the last 3-4 years, restructuring in a big way, creating a center for the ministry, unifying procurement, unifying strategic directions, planning, centralizing activities like IT, finance, HR in a big way, so that our military side would focus on what matters most, training and getting ready, rather than spending their energy and things that they can be served with. A regulatory framework has been put in place with the introduction of the General Authority of Military Industry and the recent introduction of the General Authority for Defense Development a few months ago. That regulatory environment would focus on both the short term through GAMI and the long-term R&D and development aspect through JAD, which, as I said, has been incorporated very recently. The military local industry, again, is being reshaped through the creation of the Saudi Arabian Military Industry Company, SAMI, where lots of collaboration is taking place between SAMI and major international defense players. Restructuring of the R&D landscape through consolidation and creating efficient mechanism between academia and the defense industry is being actually redone as we speak through the General Authority of Defense Development. So, as I said, in particular, GAMI, which was established 2017, is focused primarily on the industrial landscape, ensuring that we have the right ecosystem for military industry to flourish through regulations, incentives, and ensuring common procurement, and so using the volume aspect. In addition, ensuring local industry requirements being met. The General Authority for Defense Development, which was announced September last year, again, would focus on the long-term aspect of the development side and ensuring that we have the right ecosystem to foster growth in this area and encourage investment in this area and channel money to the proper channels to ensure that certain objectives are met to serve primarily the Ministry of Defense requirements. So industry localization and investment attractions, the whole ecosystem is being relooked at and is being transformed in a way to ensure that all the objectives are met. So comprehensive plans on talent acquisition, which is, in my view, the major challenge that any industry faces now to capitalize on these emerging technologies. Very focused efforts to create, again, the right ecosystem and the right environment for the local industry to invest and be able to achieve the objectives set by the vision. So in conclusion, these emerging defense technologies, again, I think I reiterate the need for international collaboration to ensure the proper management of the flow of such issues. What we face here in the kingdom and in the region, I think, needs to be controlled, where non-state actors do have access to such technologies. If this spreads, God forbids, around the world, then we will have a major issue. And so ensuring that security of technology is thought of, and I think this conference comes at a time of such a need, and therefore I look forward to the recommendations that we will see and ensuring that you know, the objectives of the conference are met will be something we look forward to. I gave just a quick brief on how the ecosystem is changing in the kingdom as it relates to the defense side. Next week, we have a big gathering in Riyadh of the defense industry through the World Defense Show, and everybody is welcome to join us there. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.